Hey everybody, my name is Sam and welcome back to Samcraft. What you see on the wall behind me probably doesn't look like a whole lot of anything, but to tell the truth, this is my brand new custom made tool wall. So let's go ahead and talk about this tool wall a little bit and the glaring elephant in the room of that looks pretty simple. What is that? Finishing nails? Yes, that's right. You are seeing finishing nails. Oak dowels, scrap pieces of oak, and some leather straps. That's it. The whole purpose of a tool wall is to hold your tools. The quickest and easiest and most efficient and cost-effective way you can do that is the best. I'm not of the opinion that you need to have maple and walnut inlay, custom formed and shaped cradles to hold tools onto a wall. Now, maybe that's because the majority of my tools are used. They're from yard sales, they are hand-me-downs, they are antique store finds, or they are generally low quality tools you get from the local home centers. Either way, these are all tools that mean a lot to me and that I actually use a lot in my workshop, and I wanted to have a space for them to be displayed, but more importantly, easily accessible to take off, use, and put back. If the system that holds the tools on there is difficult to make, I knew I would never get around to really doing it all. If it's difficult to rearrange the tools, I knew that it would cause a certain level of stress to, oh my gosh, did I get them laid out in the right way? Using simple hardware, simple straps of leather, simple finishing nails, scraps of wood, and putting it on, for me, an upcycled board, a free piece of wood, really takes away a lot of the stress and worry and anxiety of messing this thing up. Even though I've not explained what it's for just yet, you can see I've already expanded this tool wall a little bit. Yeah, there's some more scrap from that old TV cabinet showing up there on the wall. That's the beauty of this system. I'm not so locked into an OCD perfectionist box that I can't do something like that, whether here or there or above or below or wherever else. So without further ado, let's go through how I built this and my thought process for layout. I knew I wanted to have my tool wall right here between my two windows in my workshop, so that kind of locked me into a specific size or workable space to begin with. Digging around my scrap wood piles, I found this panel of oak that was from an old TV cabinet, and it fit perfectly. It had an old stain on it that was really too red and too dark for my space, so I decided to strip it off down to the bare wood and just put a natural coat of Danish wool on it, and I really like how it matches and accommodates with the window trim and the feel of this section of my workshop as a whole. The light that's mounted above my tool wall I got from a thrift store for $3. I wired up some lamp cord to it and fished it over to the nearest outlet. The lamp is not necessary, and yes, it's only really there to make it look a little bit more pretty, but I really like it. It's a great space and a great use of a $3 thrift store find, and I really think it helps to step up the area. Once I had the backer for the tool wall, I could then gather all of my tools that I wanted to display, and then I prioritized my tools from most important to be on the tool wall to least important. The very first tool on that list were my hand planes. From my research of tool walls, I knew the best way to mount planes without really chewing up a lot of your space was to mount them vertically or flat against the wall. I then had to get creative and came up with the solution of using plain leather strapping and screws to hang and suspend the planes by their front knobs. This is not only super cheap to do, super flexible, but also really easy. The planes hang freely and can be moved and changed out as I may change my tools or change the location or order without really ever having to change my system. In addition to that, if I do get different planes that don't necessarily fit very well, it should be as easy as reusing the piece of strap, adjusting it as need be, or worst case scenario, putting another piece of leather on there to make the new tool fit. My block plane doesn't have a knob to where it could hang with the same kind of system, so I used a scrap piece of wood left over from when I built my whiteboard in my workshop and just put it at the center bottom of my tool wall as a little shelf for the block plane to rest on. Once I had all my planes mounted on the tool wall, the next set of tools for me to mount were all of my wood carving tools. This is where I took the simple easy way out and drove in a line of finish nails on the tool wall, drilled holes through my tool handles, and then hung them on the nails. I'm okay with doing this because these are my tools. I'm also okay with doing this because these are not expensive, really high-priced collector's item tools. These are all economical, affordable tools that I intend to use. I don't have expensive tools. I was okay with drilling holes in my tools. You're going to have to figure out what works best for you and what you're okay doing. To give the tool wall a nice clean look, I scribed a line horizontally across the tool wall so that these fasteners for the plane straps and the nails for the wood carving tools all lined up horizontally. This really goes a long way in giving my tool wall a clean look. Next up on the tool wall was to hang my hatchet and hammer in place, again using finished nails. Then I followed up with my draw knife, which was put up using 1/2-inch oak dowels. My spoke shave hangs below my draw knife, and then I was able to move on to my chisel set. Now, like my hand carving tools, my chisel set is not an expensive set per se. We're not talking about Lee Nielsen tools or Stanley Sweetheart chisels. We're talking about a set from a home center from about 13 years ago. As such, I had no problems drilling holes in the handles and hanging them on the nails at the top. To round off the tool wall, I added a little scrap piece of wood to hold an antique spirit level my brother got for me for my birthday. At this point, my tool wall was full, but I still had 2 tools that I really wanted to have in this area. Since my tool wall was full, it was as simple as finding some other scrap wood from this TV cabinet, cutting 2 pieces, attaching them with some screws, cutting slots for the blade, and just making a simple holder to then mount to the right side of my tool wall. Let's go ahead and start putting the tools on here so you can see how quick and easy it is to put the tools on the wall, how organized it looks, and otherwise get a feel for the whole package. That's it, guys. It is super simple to load the tools on here. Everything fits really well, and honestly, it looks really nice. I'm very much of the group that the tools are really what make a tool wall attractive. As you can see, the plane holders are super easy to put on and off. Simple leather strap holds around the knob. It can be done one-handed. It's not super easy, but it can be done. And the cool thing about these, with them not only being cheap, is they're interchangeable. If for some reason the little Harbor Freight plane wants to hang out between the Stanleys, that's totally fine. It can do what it wants to. But we're not going to do that because Stanleys need to go together. Otherwise, they might start crowding out the Harbor Freight and really picking on it because it's a cheap tool. Even though that Harbor Freight works the best out of all these planes. It's not those planes' fault. It's my fault. I haven't tuned up the Stanleys yet. My tool wall is very different from what you're probably going to see a lot on YouTube. That kind of also goes into play with how I am as far as a woodworker, my shop is, and my mentality overall. Anything in life can be solved with money. But it doesn't mean you have to have money to make something look attractive. Even old antique yard sale tools can look pretty on a piece of a TV cabinet. If you guys have any questions or comments, leave them down below. I read every single one and I love getting them and hearing from you guys, so please don't be shy. Otherwise, I'll see you next time in the workshop.